going on, everybody? Welcome into The Highlight, a way too serious business show for way too serious business people. And obviously that's not true, and that's why I have Austin here, my business partner. Austin, how are you doing today? How are you keeping us light and loose?
Hey, I'm feeling good. You know, we've got a brand new guest in the studio with us today that we're super excited about, and we're going to be super serious with. No, we're here to have a good, lighthearted, fun conversation, and we're excited to have another guest with us today.
Yeah, I'm really excited for today. I worked with this guy for 2 years. I sometimes had to just put up with him, and I'm going to be honest with you, and I can allowed to say that because I'm not in the building anymore. But today we got my good friend, mentor, whether he likes it or not, John Felkins, the executive director for the EntreLeadership brand at Ramsey Solution. John, thanks for sharing the highlight with us today. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I was a little thrown off there because if you're looking for a serious podcast, you got the wrong guy.
No, it's kind of a joke because it's like I think some people take business way too seriously, and it's just. And I know we all are cut from the same cloth. We're all friends, and it's more fun when you do business with people you like. And life's too short to be dealing with nonsense all the time, you know. And people that take themselves too seriously are never fun.
Absolutely, totally agree.
Yeah. So why don't you? I know a lot about you, but I'd love for you to take just a minute and sort of give everybody a little bit of an overview about you and what you guys have going on over there.
Well, that could be a pretty short story on my behalf, but you know, I like you said, I'm the executive director of EntreLeadership Elite, and basically, as both of you know, what we're trying to do is help small business owners in the world, because we believe that that's a noble thing. We believe business is good. One of my biggest pet peeve statements is giving back to the community. Business owners aren't taken from the community; they're serving the community. And what we do at EntreLeadership is we try and serve business owners so that they can be successful serving their communities. And I get to be a part of that team. And I've been here with Ramsey for 10 years now, and I'm just like a bad penny, Chandler. I just keep coming back.
You're so close to getting that parking spot. You can see it. It's
right
there.
Actually, it's right. It's right there.
You already got it scoped
That's
out.
perfect.
Yeah.
Well, you got so many. Your background's so vast when it comes to like business and leadership, and I know we could take this a bunch of different ways, but I'd love to take just a second and sort of like, you know, you talk about EntreLeadership's there to serve the small business owner. Like, what are the biggest challenges facing the American small business owner today?
Well, man, that's a great question, big question. And of course, you have all of the external forces, you know, the things that kind of are in the news feed about inflation or all the, you know, kind of the workforce challenges that there are and all those things. And those are all very real, but they also come and go. And so, you know, what we see kind of at its core is you're going to solve some problem in front of you. You know, if you're just starting out, you're probably doing all of it yourself. But when you figure out how to create enough margin to get you some help, your reward for solving that problem is going to be a bigger problem. And y'all know this, right? Yeah. You just get bigger problems to solve. So once you figure out how to get the margin to build a team, then your next problem is how do you get that team all on the same page, pulling in the same direction? And then the next problem is how do you create a plan that's big enough to meet the opportunity in the market? And then you get comfortable with that, and you got to figure out how to reinvent yourself and you know, break stuff yourself before the market breaks it for you. And then you got to figure out what you're going to do with the thing for the rest of your life. And so you just never finish. It's to quote Simon Sinek, it really is an infinite game.
Yes, I mean, you did a great job, obviously, outlining, I mean, the kind of endless, vast sea of problems that us entrepreneurs go through. Tell us a little bit about how EntreLeadership kind of plugs in and helps business owners kind of along the walk, and as they're facing those problems on a day-to-day basis, how does Entre come in and kind of partner with them to move them in the right direction?
We do that in a couple of different ways, Austin, and just to take a half step back, to be really clear, EntreLeadership is nothing more than the best practices curated from Ramsey Solutions of how Dave Ramsey has started and led and built this company from a card table in his living room to a major national brand. I know you all have heard that line many times, but you've heard it many times because that's what it is. And I would say we come alongside the business owner in kind of two big buckets. One is we do some events, so we have these experiences that either re-energize people, get people fired up, get them re-engaged in their leadership and inspired and educated, or really educate people at a real tactical level about how we run this business. And so we do that at events. But then the other piece that we do, and this is the sandbox that I get to play in, is we walk with people on a daily basis. How they run their meetings, how they stay plugged into their team, how they cast vision for their team, how they create the margin that they need to reinvest in their business, and really all along those major seasons of their business, like I mentioned, of getting off of the treadmill and then finding the way to build the team and then scaling the thing and being at the kind of a leader in their industry. Like I said, we walk with them through coaching and our offerings on a daily basis doing that. And then every year we have that revival that we put on because we all need that, right? Our tanks can run low. And so that shot in the arm is helpful to all of us.
I will tell everybody watching or listening right now that EntreLeadership Summit in the summertime it's the most crazy business event I've ever been to. And I was so lucky to get paid to go to it for a couple years in a row. And now I no longer have that luxury unless John wants to throw me a discount code. But, it is I've been to a lot of business events, and there's nothing like it. There's nothing close. And it is a truly insane, if you love business and you love being around people that love the game of business, there's nowhere better to go. It is a get hyped event. It's a recharge your tank event. And then the EMS thing is also a great event, and it's a little more tactical. You get into the weeds with actually how to do things, and then it still recharges you though. I mean the last EMS event I was at, we had a whole saloon and mechanical bull and all the other things. And unfortunately I had dislocated my shoulder in the office because it's a dangerous place to work. And I was unallowed.
That's not why you dislocated your shoulder.
That is not even a good story to tell. It was stretching, which is just the worst.
Yeah, it's that repetitive motion. But yeah, I appreciate that, Chandler. And we love those events, and they're a real high. But EntreLeadership Elite is where we take what we learn at the event or the inspiration, and we bottle it up, and we say, okay, how do we walk this thing out? We do that either in our advisory groups inside of EntreLeadership Elite, or if some people even get an executive coach from our team and work with somebody individually to help apply what they've learned at one of the events.
So I've got a question. You've mentioned talking about people that go from sort of they do the everything stuff. And, Austin and I are just now finally, after we've been in business a little over a year now, so just now getting to the stage where we've got the contractors and we put cash in the bank, and I've had Felkins in the back of my head saying all the things, and I'm trying to listen. And we've just started the process of delegating to contractors and whatnot, and starting to build the team. And I'd love for you to take a second and sort of give those early stage small business owners that are maybe getting their first, let's call it 5 to 10 people on the team. What do you think the best practices are for actually getting people on the same page and making sure we're all rowing in the same direction?
Well, first of all, Chandler and Austin, well done making it a year. I mean, you guys are already defying the odds of still being in business. So well done, and well done getting off the treadmill of having to do everything yourself. But you really kind of highlighted the answer, Chandler, is you start relying on team members, whether they're contractors, whether they're 1099 or W-2, it actually doesn't matter, because if they don't hold what's important to you as important to them and the work that they're doing, it doesn't matter what their employment agreement is. They're representing your brand, and they're either going to damage your brand or add to your brand. Mm-hmm. And so you've, like you said, you've got to get everybody pulling in the same direction. And so the best practices for doing that, when you're kind of finding that path, is you got to make sure you know them yourself. You got to do it for yourself first. It's fine. Like, part of the reason why we say, a card table in his living room to a major national brand is because we don't belittle the card table in the living room. We don't belittle all the businesses that started in basements and garages. That's where they start. That's fantastic. And if your mission is to make payroll by Friday, so be it. But it doesn't work when you start to involve other people. You've got to look up. You got to raise your head and look down the road a little bit and say, what am I really trying to accomplish? What is my mission for this business? And get solid on that yourself. Now, I'll say something that's not real popular, and that is, this is not one of those things that you take to your team and say, hey, everybody, what do you think our mission should be? This has got to come from inside of you two. This has got to be in your gut. This is something that you got to get fired up about, and then include your team and attract a team around that. This is not, leading a business by a popularity poll. Like, this is from you guys. And so,
do you see that as a problem today? Like, do people?
Yes.
Do you see leaders of small businesses that are like, I'm too worried about what all of my team thinks, and God forbid they tweet something about me? Is that a problem today?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of us are, and all of us have moments of insecurity and are worried about what people think about us. And so, Chandler, you know me well as an 8 on the Enneagram. I do have to be careful about how I come across because I can come across really strong. But at the end of the day, if the mission doesn't come from within me for the team that I'm leading, it's not going to work. Mm-hmm. And so all of the stuff where we're just so worried about the mob and what they're going to think or what somebody might say or tweet or whatever, you're just going to end up chasing your tail. And that's where burnout comes from, because you won't have your whole heart in what it is that you're trying to do. And so, you got to get clear on that for yourself. And then you've got to become the chief reminding officer, right? And just start beating the drum with your team. And the people that buy into that, they're going to be attracted to it. They're going to want to be a part of it. And you need to keep them. And then the ones that are there just for a paycheck or a job, you got to filter them out and build your team in that way. So identify it for yourself. What's my mission? What does winning look like? What are the things that are really important to me? In fancy nerd talk, that's core values. But it is like, what's really important to me as a business leader? Articulate those things, say them over and over again to your team. And that's how you get everybody on the same page. Jim Collins said, an inspirational, innovative, world-class business is 1% inspiration and 99% alignment. And that's why you're asking a question, Chandler, is because it's easy to get the idea and be inspired, like, hey, Austin, you want to go do a marketing business? Yeah, let's do it. And then there's how much work does that create? Yeah, right. Yeah. It creates all the work.
A lot.
You've officially, when you put that into the universe, all of a sudden you have now sort of opened up a lot of commitments that you didn't even realize you just made. And
that's right.
It's a dangerous game to play, because then all of a sudden, if you start the wrong thing and it's not coming from the right place internally, I do think you end up burnt out. And I have seen, what do the SBA stats say? Some crazy number of businesses close in the first 5 years. And it's either because of I think a lot of it ends up being cash flow issues. But I think cash flow issues a lot of times end up pointing back to, we just don't want to be doing what we're doing at the end. It's just like, I'm just desperately spending money that I know I shouldn't be spending in a lot of different areas, trying to get this thing off my back. Yeah.
And so many folks, this is why I love what you guys do, is because so many folks think, well, I'm an IT specialist, I'm a plumber, I'm a business coach, whatever it is, and they want to go into business, and they think I'm good at that thing, that trade, whatever it is. And so I'm going to go into business. What they don't realize is that's the easy part,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Getting the marketplace aware of what the value that they offer and attracting those people to actually do business, marketing. Hello? That's the hard part.
Yep.
And that's why they need you guys' service so much, is because they don't realize that they're going into sales and marketing is what they've got to figure out how to do, not their craft.
Yeah. Can you talk about that for a minute? Because I know a lot of people out there are really good at their thing, and they don't understand that the minute you start a business, I mean, really, the thing no longer really matters, because pretty quickly that's the first thing you should be outsourcing to somebody else so that you can go develop the skills of a business owner. Can you talk about why people don't make that transition fast enough? Is it because they just don't know they should, or is it a they don't want to? What is that?
Well, we're about to come out with a quick read on delegation. So a little plug there. Be looking for that the first of the year. But what we talk about in that quick read is there's a couple reasons why they don't delegate that stuff. One is they don't have people to help them. So they got to get good at hiring so that they can turn it over. But here's the thing that I think is really kind of at the heart of it to begin with, and that is, let's just say an electrician. Let's just say a guy is working for a company, a guy or a gal working for a company, and they're the best electrician on the crew, and their foreman is a chump. He's a pain in the butt. They don't want to work for him anymore. And they're like, I could do this myself. And sure enough, they know a couple people, and they start doing electrical work on construction sites, and they're good at it. And they get busy. And then they realize, I want to grow this bigger. But they only know themselves as an electrician. They don't know themselves as an entrepreneur. What I mean is their identity is as an electrician, and they have to shift their identity from I'm an electrician to I'm an entrepreneur. And that's hard. It's hard to make that shift. So they have all of these weird behaviors that come out of that, maladaptive behaviors where they're micromanaging, they won't turn loose of stuff, they got their fingers in everything, and it creates all kinds of problems. They've got to let go, and they've got to say, you know what? I want to be a businessman. I want to be an entrepreneur. I need to go get with Chandler and Austin and figure out marketing and bring dollars and customers in the door and get some help doing electrical work. But my job is to grow this business, not just do electrical work. It's a tough shift for people.
Yeah. What about when you're delegating and then all of a sudden, is there a fear of that person dropping the ball and failing? Because as we know, something is going to happen that would not have happened had you been doing it. And that's almost the price you got to pay when you're delegating and hiring people for the first time.
It is, but you're touching on something, the nerdy term for this is the fundamental attribution error. And what that is it's when I screw up, I will blame that on external circumstances. And when Chandler screws up, I blame it on his character. So let me give you an example. If I'm late to work, it's because there's bad traffic. If Chandler's late to work and he's on my team, it's because he's a lazy slug. We all do this.
Well, that might be
right?
true.
No, it's not true. I know Chandler. And I'm overstating it, but we all do that. We look at that person and we say, I don't want to delegate to them because they're going to screw it up. The fact of the matter is, we are thinking of ourselves on the best day we ever had and them on the worst day that they ever had, because we screwed stuff up too. If you're doing something, you're going to screw stuff up. But how to delegate to that person, to show them how to take the time, because delegation well done takes time. You got to slow down to speed up. So you got to slow down enough to invest the time. Watch me do this, Chandler. Okay. What questions do you have? Okay. You try it, Chandler. Okay. I'm going to watch you do it. And I'm going to be right there next to you. And then I'm going to take a step back and a step back and a step back so that I let the rope out slowly, and you have confidence and I have confidence that you're doing it right. But that's not how we delegate. We get overwhelmed and we're like, oh, I don't have time for this task. Chandler, do it. Figure it out. And then it doesn't go well. And I'm like, Chandler, why didn't you do that right? It's my fault. It's my fault as a leader.
Yeah. I feel like
Yeah.
you're giving Austin
That's
way
great.
too many ideas here about, hey, Chandler, this is not going well.
That's
What's
right.
broken, and why is it your fault? That's
Mhm.
hilarious.
I'm taking notes for sure.
I mean, please don't. We'll make sure to edit this part out for sure. Um,
You're a good sport, Chandler. You're a good sport.
I thought about, well, it's funny because we've talked a lot about this back in my Ramsey days and my EntreLeadership team days. Like I told you all about, I'd bemoan my barbecue days to you, and it's because it's funny because I was a entrepreneur for 6 years and built a barbecue business, and then I ended up on the Entre team, and so I was we had crashed that business, and then I'd lick my wounds with John a lot of times in his office and be like, John, there was this guy that didn't understand how to make potato salad, and it was this whole thing. And it's funny because that guy, long story short, I can tell it another time, but he ended up putting 5 pounds of horseradish into a potato salad instead of 5 pounds of mayonnaise. And if you don't know what horseradish tastes like, just go to your supermarket, get a little can, and take like a little teaspoon, and it's enough to melt your face off. You think Nashville hot chicken is hot. That horseradish at that quantity is hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
It'll
remember
melt your face.
Yeah, I remember that was luckily a couple times into hiring people, because in the restaurant business people turn over so quickly. It was one of the things I could never figure out, and I don't know if the industry has figured it out, maybe, but I had learned that it wasn't necessary, like you're saying, he was a bad guy. It was a high school kid. This was like his first real job. I was paying him like $8-9 an hour. And so I was getting a certain level of person, and my expectation as the leader had to change to go, okay, contextually, what's happening right now? I got a 17-year-old kid, never had a job, doesn't really have cooking experience. I knew all that as the leader. It's my fault. I hired him with all those things. I can't get that mad at him when he makes this big of a mistake. And it was a big mistake because my dumbass ended up eating the potato salad and like lit my face on fire. But there was a guy, luckily I handled that a little bit better and ended up, using it as a fun training moment, and sort of we ate it together, and it was rough. But the first guy I ever hired was Tom, and Tom was a philosophy major at the University of Kentucky. And I don't know if any of you out there have experience in the restaurant business, but let me tell you.
There's an oxymoron, philosophy in Kentucky.
You have to be barefoot and drink bourbon. That's the requirements for that degree program.
Love everybody from Kentucky.
That's it. So Tom was a good guy, but he was so slow and so philosophical about everything. And in restaurants, you got to move quickly. And I was a terrible leader because he was literally the first non-family member employee we had ever hired. And I remember looking at him and just like, I lost my cool one day, and I was like, I don't know why you go so bleepity bleepy slow and bleepity bleep and bleep bleep bleep, because I was coming out of the military days too, so I was a little aggressive.
Salty.
And I was a child and a leader, and it was, but I made it about him, and I didn't make it about what I ended up realizing later, through a lot of the educational resources that you guys do on the Entre team, is it was my fault hiring a good person, but putting him in the wrong seat on the bus. And instead of moving him around and finding a better seat for him, I overreacted and we just let him go. And so, how do you recommend that small business owners that are building their teams for the first time navigate getting people on the right seats in the bus?
Well, I think that's a good question. I think that you mentioned this, and I would say even before worrying about getting the right people on the right bus, is what you did was you looked in the mirror and you said,
After the fact.
Who's the problem here? Who's the problem here? And then you were able to start to figure that kind of stuff out. So, in addition to the book EntreLeadership, one of the books that I recommend the most is a book called Leadership and Self-Deception. And a bajillion copies have been read about, or sold and read and everything. I highly recommend that to everybody on your podcast. Read that book, Leadership and Self-Deception, because we get inside, and the book talks about this. We get inside this box, and we're not thinking about outside the box. We're not thinking about the other person. We're not thinking about anything except for things from our perspective and what we want out of the situation. And when we step out of our own way and we say, how can I make this situation better? And how did I contribute to it being a problem? That is the key that starts the engine of figuring all this stuff out. And like it did for you, Chandler, And then you can say, okay, where is this person? Well, now that I'm actually thinking about this other person, I'll think about the horseradish kid. I know you were mentioning Tom, but the horseradish kid, like, how do I need to set him up for success? Right? He's 17 years old. I need to, and we've talked about this. Maybe I need to write this stuff down, and maybe I need to take a picture of it and say, this one's horseradish, this one, how does Chick-fil-A run a $15 billion business a year staffed by teenagers that can tuck their shirt in, wear a belt, and say, my pleasure every time I say thank you?
I can't tell you how many times I've asked myself that question.
It's because they lean in that hard, lovingly, and they show that person, they set that person up to win. Like, this is what it takes to put together good potato salad. And, they only do that by first, as a leader, getting out of their own way and then, spelling it out at the level that the person needs to hear it.
Yeah.
It's not, Chandler, I'll shut up, but let me say this. No. When you're training somebody, it's not micromanagement to show them a picture of mayonnaise and horseradish if they don't know the difference. That's not micromanaging people. That's training people. Once you show them the picture and they've demonstrated that they know how to do it, standing behind them and looking over their shoulder repeatedly because of your own insecurities, that's micromanagement.
I'll give you a little story from my own personal first-time job. I was the 16-year-old. Actually, I think I was 15. My mom would drive me to work. It was at a pizza place, and they started me on a Friday night at 5 p.m. That was my first ever shift. There's a ballpark right down the street, and they would order pizza all night long, and so it was always a crazy day. And they just said, hey, obviously it's a crazy day to start. We're going to put you on salads. And I thought, okay, great. There are charts right in front of me that shows here's what goes on the salad first, second, third, all the way through. But the problem was, like you said, they did not label, in your example, the horseradish and the mayonnaise. For me, it was mozzarella and feta cheese.
Oh,
I had never had feta cheese. I had never seen feta cheese ever in my life. All I knew was that mozzarella is small and crumbly. And I don't remember what the salad was, but someone ordered this salad first time ever. They were dining in, and mozzarella was supposed to be on top of their cheese. And so, of course, I dunked my hand into the feta, spread it all over their salad, and happily delivered it with a smile to their table. And as you can imagine, it took about 30 seconds for me to get that call back. And I had to sheepishly look into my boss's face and tell him, I do not know what feta cheese is. And it was hilarious. But it's, your exact point. It's like, is it micromanagement to tell me what's feta and what's not? Do they need to check before they put me on salads on a Friday night? I think they did. And I learned the hard way. But,
Well, so did they. And
that's right. That's right. Too. Hopefully they did.
That's
too.
right.
Hopefully they were able to rectify it before it ended up on Yelp, and that's a whole nother thing for another time.
I think, luckily, if I remember correctly, I think it was like a friend of the owners. It was like a locally owned business, and so I think I got a pass. I ended up working there for 4 years, and so I'm sure that was not the worst mistake I ever made. But
it worked out.
That's a fun one.
And on the back of that, I will say Horseradish Kid, as John so lovingly named him, which is now what I'm going to text him and tell him his new name is. I still talk to him. I still talk to him every couple of months. He's a good kid. He's graduated college and doing something. I think he's in elementary education now. And but he ended up working for us for like 3 years. And I think it was was because of the way we were able to actually like train him and not just belittle him and wear him out. And I do think that's a lot of the issue with, when you don't care as a leader about company culture, then nobody will care. And then you can't be upset when you get what you get. I've got a 5-year-old daughter now, and she all the time loves to look me dead in the face, and she goes, Daddy, you get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. And I don't know how you argue with I didn't know philosophy was going to be the theme of today's podcast, but, here we are. John is always surprising us. So we have a question we ask everybody, which is the 10X budget question, and I'm going to put some parameters around it. If I could give you 10X the budget tomorrow as a small business owner, let's take you back to those days, and you had to spend the budget on improving company culture, how are you going to do that?
And I have to spend it on improving company culture. Well, The
Pretend like you want to spend it there too, you know.
The mistake that we make about company culture is thinking that it's things like pool tables and ping pong tables, like fun stuff. But culture is nothing more than the collective attitudes and behaviors of a group of people. And, businesses have that, teams have that, professional sports teams have that, cities have that, families have that. So we all have culture. It's just, is it a healthy, thriving culture? Is it a culture that produces the results that we want? So when you ask me if I had 10x in a budget to improve culture, man, that's a super good question, because what improves culture is better identifying and communicating what our values and beliefs are. So like, this seems like a cop-out answer, and I'm willing for you guys to push back on me, but culture is not something you can buy. The culture is not something that you can
It's a good answer.
just go, get somewhere. Now, you both know we spend an insane amount of money on Battle of the Bands and our Christmas party. And so I'm not against that stuff. I love that stuff. The spelling bee. You all know that, I will bring my elk bugle to the spelling bee, and about getting murdered by all my teammates blowing that thing. So yeah, I would do that. I would upgrade the meals at those events, and I would, invite more people and throw bigger parties if I just had the money. But I'm careful to not say that buys results. It doesn't. And I could spend that money taking care of people. One of the things I'll tell you, and I have meant to put this on LinkedIn, and I'm going to. I've had several people, because we were talking about this, and I don't mind sharing this, but I just had to go to the hospital and for my heart, and I was off work for a couple weeks, and I've been back a couple weeks now, and I had a lot of people ask me at the hospital and friends in my neighborhood, well, how long do you have? How long can you take off work? And honestly, I look at them with a blank face. I'm like, I don't know. That's not an issue. I have as long as I need, and Dave and the board and everybody here has reiterated that, even though I'm the one that has taught a lot of people that on behalf of the company. They're like, why are you back in the office? Stay home. You don't have to be here. And so it takes margin to do that. It takes money to do that at the end. I mean, that's reality, and you both know we've done things like, some kid of a team member gets sick, we'll put them on a jet and fly them to wherever they need to be. And so, yeah, if you gave me that money, I'd figure out how to spend it. But I would not be fooled into thinking that's how you create culture.
It's a great answer.
I love the line, culture can't be bought. I mean, because money is easy. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
Now, cash flow is a big reason why a lot of businesses close in the first 5 years. We know that. And so if you're a new business owner and you're in that first 5-year window, I understand what we're saying sounds crazy. But at some point, if you make it through that window, you will have plenty of cash to spend on stuff. And that becomes very quickly the easy thing to do.
Yes.
But
Chandler, if I don't have the money, I could still go smoke a pork shoulder in my backyard and take it over to your house tonight and say, man, I'm so sorry for what you're going through. I just wanted to give y'all, a night off from cooking dinner. Yeah. And of course now I would be super insecure about you judging my barbecue. But for the normal person.
Well, and I think it's an effort. It's an effort answer. Effort requires no additional resourcing. It takes zero money to take a pen you already have and to get a piece of paper and to write a thank you note. And that is what you're talking about. Culture starts from the top down, and culture is a core value, and you can use whatever fancy word in the core value you want, but it doesn't matter. It's just a word on a paper until you actually start putting your actions where your words are. It's pointless. And for anybody out there, I think there's some leaders that think maybe their team, or they probably would call them employees, are just stupid. And they just think that they'll just buy into the the pool tables, and they'll buy into the money, and they'll buy into the words on the wall and those fancy like motivational posters with like teamwork and dream work and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you may be able to fool some people for some short amount of time, but the people you want to be on your team long term will figure it out. And then they will leave because they are A players, and A players never have an issue finding a home ever.
Yep.
And
that's true.
You have to. The one thing I learned in all of my 6 years of running the restaurant that I wish I would have learned faster was that the single differentiator between the companies that make it and the ones that don't are really the people on the team and how well you can take care of them, challenge them, compensate them, and do all the things, and then actually do it consistently. It's not just a 1 week proposal and we saw this fancy keynote and now all of a sudden I heard this podcast and now I'm all in on culture, baby. It's like, no, it's got to be a consistent thing over and over again. The last question, and this just came up, was if you have somebody out there that maybe looks in the mirror and goes, okay, my culture is broken internally, and I'm willing to admit that me as the leader, I'm the reason why. What do you tell them to do to walk that back?
Yeah, that's a super good question. We run into that a lot because people, when they come and they get aware of what we teach in EntreLeadership, a lot of them have that realization. And my favorite thing for a leader to do when they have that realization is go to their team the next morning and start out by saying this: I'm sorry. I'm the one that allowed the culture to become what it's become, and that's on me. And we're going to start doing some things differently, and I know that's going to be tough. But we're going to kind of start a new business and a new team tomorrow. And this is everybody's invitation to be a part of that. But as of tomorrow, gossip's not okay anymore. Whatever it is, fighting back and forth and not resolving things, it's not okay anymore. Not serving our clients with excellence, it's not okay anymore. And it's my fault that those things have gotten into our organization. So I apologize for that because that's a failing on my part. But tomorrow's a new day. So if you want to be a part of a company where we don't allow gossip and we've all got each other's back and we serve people because it matters and we get the last 10% out and figure out how we're going to do this thing together, if you want to be a part of that kind of team, show up tomorrow. I'd love to have you, and I'm excited about our future.
Yeah. I love
I'm ready to run through a brick wall right now.
Hey, listen, I got Felkins on here for a reason. He's the man.
You gotta own it.
Yeah, I love that. And I got to put this out there as somebody that does now own it with a business partner. If you want us at High Beam Marketing to be able to develop a great company culture, we need your money. And so we need your business. And so now I'm going to do an ad read. And the ad read is this. Look, if you're a small business owner and you're doing what John's telling you to do, you're ready to delegate, you're ready to elevate yourself as a business owner, and you're tired of going on LinkedIn and asking your network for references and that fails, and you're tired of going to Upwork and all of a sudden it's like who are these people? Where do they live? I don't know them. And if you're also scared of spending way too much money, because guess what? Marketing firms love to charge a lot of money and just take it. And then we'll just say, hey, you had some impressions. Good luck with revenue. And, those three reasons right there are why Austin and I started High Beam Marketing, because for a lot of companies out there, for a lot of small business owners, they're not quite ready to bring that full-time person on to handle all their marketing. And marketing is such a wide array of specialities that you need a full team to really do it well. And so High Beam comes in, we're your part-time marketing agency or part-time marketing team, really. We're on the team. We believe in your core values and culture because guess what, John? We don't work with people that we hate because life's too short. And I don't share barbecue with people that aren't good people. That's just a general rule in life. I think that's the best way to live. So if
I've had some of your barbecue sauce, so
yeah, you have the recipe now.
It
so
is
you
good
can
sauce.
open up your own Lyles Barbecue Company. As long as it's not the reason you had art issues, we're good. We're still good.
It's not.
Well, if you, on the back of a very weird joke, if you want to find out more, go to highbeammarketing.com, fill out the contact form. We'll schedule a discovery call, learn more about your business, and see how we can help you. All right. We paid the bills. We can now invest more money in culture. John's happy. I'm happy. Austin's happy. All right, Austin. You were digging in. You're talking to me about it's the hunting season. I don't care. You're all in on it, and you wanted to talk to Felkins about something. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, well, Felkins, you probably don't know this, but I am a 5-year unsuccessful deer hunting veteran. I've been in the woods since 2018, watching deer pass, and I'm looking for the buck. Last year I found one, but he was running, and I missed my shot. So what I would love to hear from you today, and real quick, it doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out thing, but I would love for you to share. I know you're a big hunter. We're coming into the season. I would love for you to share a quick hunting tale that you lead with your hunting buddies. What's the one that really tells everyone what you're about in the woods? I want to hear your best story.
Well, first of all, I have had some success deer hunting in my life and other types of hunting, but I'm right there with you because I've been elk hunting for years now and have not shot an elk. And so I know what that's like.
Keep on going, man.
Never quit. But what is my story about? Shoot, I don't know. There's so many good stories. Yeah, I thought you were going to ask me for advice, like, what should I do? And
that's easy, John.
Maybe this is my story, but shoot the first legal deer that walks by you.
Oh, he won't do it.
That's a good one.
Tell him why you won't do it.
You need to. Why won't you do that?
Well, I will do it. I will do it.
He won't.
Here's the thing. I started this in 2018, and I was being led by a very close family friend of mine. He has a big property. He's been kind of tending to these deer for forever. And my first time ever in the stand, 6 deer and a little herd walked by, but it's 2 moms and a bunch of babies, and I know this guy, and I just don't want to be the guy that shoots Bambi's mom, right off the bat. I don't want that to be my first day on the job. And so, I only get a couple times a year to go out maybe, but since that day, I've told myself, I've let 6 walk. What if that 7th one's the buck? What if that's the big boy that we're going to tell our friends about? So, I guess for the last 3-4 years I've been waiting. And last year, John, we had a baby right before deer season, and so I got one chance to go into the woods. I got one chance last year, and I was in the tree early in the morning and waited about 3-4 hours, and sure enough, here come 2 or 3 doe walking out of the woods right in front of me, John, and I'm like, this could be it. This could be the one that you're talking about. But the way they were moving, I thought there's got to be something following, and I did wait. And there was a really nice-looking 6-pointer that followed him right out of the woods, but he was hustling. And as you know, I was no experience to this. Up in the tree alone, and I thought I'm going to wait for him to stop. He didn't stop, and so I eventually realized I've got one chance to just at least shoot the gun, right? And so I did, and I missed. And we acted like maybe we hit it. We had the dogs out sniffing around. We knew we didn't hit it, but we pretended and we played the game and. Well, you know what? We'll be out there. We'll be out there again this season. So it's all about perseverance, right?
Yep. You got to keep going. And what state are you hunting in?
Tennessee.
You do realize that, like, we're massively overpopulated. Our deer herd is massively overpopulated.
I know.
Shooting a doe is not a good fun
shoot
first
a
story.
deer. You can shoot a doe every single day of the season. Like,
I know you can.
Virtually no limit.
Well, the problem is I've only had one day a year, and it's like, what if I blow the? It's just kind of a weird thing.
He wants
but
the fancy
but this
story,
year,
John.
This year I'm coming for it.
He's got it tied up in his identity. He wants the fancy story, and now he's got 5 years sunk into it. He's definitely not doing it. So.
Well, my best advice to you is you need to spend the remainder of the year taking such good care of your wife and your family and your home that you earn the right to go a half a dozen times when it's season.
I love that advice. That's the best advice ever.
Comes home. I love it. Well, John, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. We'll make sure to link up EntreLeadership and all their good stuff. We love what you guys are doing. We're still big fans and friends of the organization. So I hope this goes without saying, but if you ever need anything, please reach out. Let us know. We appreciate all you guys watching and listening and doing all the things. We will see you next week.
Thank you.